So, we've talked on this channel a lot about how the southern ports are really going to be affected. Obviously, the English Channel, it's a short hop to France. There is a reason why we have a lot of ports down there, and in Brexit, a lot of the talk has been majoritively focused on the disaster that is going to be on these ports. However, not completely the case, because in Yorkshire we have Hull, and the Hull port is actually quite a busy port. As I've said to you before in the past, generally around and in Yorkshire itself, people here in the businesses, in the factory, in the manufacturers, are going to be on the phone to someone else in Europe. That's where most of these businesses do their trade with, and it's because of, again, being a member of the single market and the customs union that has made it so easy for them to actually trade into Europe. However, before we get into discussing that, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really does help this video. Also, down below there is a Patreon link and a one-off donation link, so you can buy me a coffee if you would like. So, let's get right into it. So, this comes from the Yorkshire Bylines, and the title is Hull on the Edge of the North Sea, the Rest of Europe, and Traffic Hell. Hull, like most of the rest of the country, is waiting to see exactly what changes there will be over the next year and beyond. The city has wanted an improvement in its lot for years, while being the city of culture in 2017, and the arrival of Siemens moved things along. Frustration about the speed and direction of travel no doubt played a role in the numbers voting to leave the EU in 2016. Unfortunately, what was presented as a simply in or out choice with no downsides and many benefits is turning out to be more complicated. Remaining in the EU single market and customs union would have protected businesses from the impact of bureaucratic customs checks and variable tariffs, but the government opted instead to leave both. Once we complete the transition period on the 31st of December, we will therefore experience one of the hardest forms of Brexit. And if we fail to agree on an EU free trade agreement in the meantime, the impact on businesses and consumers will be even greater. The government's insistence to leave the customs union will have a serious impact on ports that mainly trade with the EU, and the effects are likely to spill out into the local streets and surrounding road network. And there is much talk about the lorry park, aka the Farage Garage, in Kent, with local MPs shouting loudly about how unfair this is on local residents. But at the same time, it is true for Hull and East Yorkshire. The significance and the enormity of what will happen here is probably best measured by the plans being produced to deal with the problem, and the amount of taxpayer money being allocated to mitigate the possible consequences. The main access to the Port of Hull is via the A63. That funnels traffic off the M62 onto a two-lane dual carriageway sandwiched between the city centre and the Humber estuary. The Humber estuary, should I say? Through to the eastern side of the city. Around 47,000 vehicles a day use it, along with an average of over at least 187 heavy goods vehicles. And they go to and from the docks. It only takes a breakdown or an accident to effectively close one lane of the dual carriageway, and the A63/Castle Street can be completely shudder to a halt. And as this happens, the surrounding road network progressively shuts down. Working on upgrading this road has already started and will cause major disruption until at least the spring of 2025. The transition period ends in less than 5 months. At the moment, UK trucks, trailer units, and private cars can board ferries with minimal paperwork, essentially just a passport and a ferry booking. From the 1st of January, however, commercial traffic through the Port of Hull will be operating at a far more complex and time-consuming regime, so that HGVs can board the daily ferries to Rotterdam, Zeebrugge, and other major North Sea ports. As reported in July, the HMRC has estimated that the total number of additional declarations for both imports and exports will be around 115 million, each one costing between £15 and £56. Even the Telegraph has warned about the disaster facing haulage companies. Hull and Gould Port, the Health Authority Chief Port Officer, Lauren Dam, the man in charge of overseeing the food imports through Hull and Gould, says he has great concern over the likelihood of a huge increase in border checks. Almost all of the 150 million kilos of food imported through Humber ports every year, destined for wholesalers and retailers across the UK, comes from the European Union. Importers will have to make customs, safety and security declarations and face sanitary checks, a requirement to produce an export health certificates as well as some physical checks on the products as well. He added that the new border control post at King's George Dock, expected to be in operation soon, has been a very complex business and has taken well over a year to come into fruition. Worryingly, it has not been designed to cope with potential massive number of UK border control checks, which will be required from January of 2021. Mistakes on the paperwork at a Swiss-German border at Belize led one agent to assess the error rate to be 20 in incorrect declarations. Errors involving anything from incorrect weight of a vehicle to the difference in stated value of the goods or on an invoice/customs paperwork. This results in a HGV driver being stuck at the customs port while mistakes are corrected, often causing overnight delays, especially at weekends. And we will face the similar delays at UK ports. This has also been the experience of many hauliers. So this is a tweet, and this is from an actual haulage company. Switzerland, a country accustomed to carrying out checks on goods and borders, has an error rate of around 20%. And anything from incorrect weight to standard value of goods, which originate from the invoice sent to an agent from the importer-exporter. So Switzerland, a country that has been doing this for years, has a 20% error rate. And it's staggering that people don't think that there will be delays, that the Brexiteers have conned people into thinking, oh no, it'll be fine. Then how do you know what's even coming into the country at that point? And remember, if a country like Switzerland, that has been doing this for years, has a 20% error rate, there are going to be delays. That will cause huge problems. And not only that, but there's something which I don't know, I haven't seen many people talk about. Because the English Channel is one of the busiest sea lanes in the world. Now, what if you have a situation of a ferry docks and it offloads, and then one goes into the customs thing, there's an error. And that backs up to a point where the next ferry comes in and it can't offload vehicles. What happens to the other ferries behind it? Could we not only see a traffic jam in ports, but could this delay start to cause problems in the English Channel? I haven't seen many people talk about it, but I wonder if that's a problem, or if it's not a problem that someone's thought about, because I've never seen anyone talk about it. So I don't know if it is a problem. I don't know if it's just not an issue. I don't know. I've never seen anyone talk about it, but I'd be very interested if anyone does have any information on that. Is that a problem? But there you go. Anyway, it continues. So, in 2018, with the threat of there being an early no-deal Brexit, the Humber Local Resilience Forum, comprising of emergency services, the NHS, local authorities, Highways England, and the port owner, APB, produced a risk assessment assessing the documented risks called the risk of delays at the Humber ports caused by a no-deal EU exit. It stated, experience has shown that closure/disruption to any ports will have an almost immediate impact on the road network. If HGVs are queuing to access ports, it generally takes between 20 and 30 minutes before there is a significant impact on the surrounding road network. However, the Department for Transport have advised that while disruption was possible, the risk was low and likely manageable. By April of 2019, the Humber Local Enterprise Partnership stated that constraints affect movements into and out of the Humber ports are complex, and road issues are particularly severe on the North Bank. The group has also upgraded its risk assessment of the potential effects at either a no-deal Brexit or a, quote, simple EU free trade agreement with the UK outside the customs union and single market. Its response is called Operation Wellington. This proposes a three-phase response to the worsening of any HGV traffic and difficulties due to friction at the Humber ports, and provided parking for waiting HGVs unable to get onto the docks for any reason. So, Phase 1. The use of Eastern Rail Area site to the immediate east of the Queen Elizabeth docks. This will be that HGVs will need to travel the whole length of the A63 through the city, past the dock entrance, and the government has bought this land already at a cost of £760,000. At a seminar, the exporters in late 2019 and the Secretariat of the HLRF, Mr. Baverley, explained that Phase 2 would see strategically located car parks used for HGVs. This would provide a relief valve for people to go somewhere if we face congestion around the ports, with the huge Walton Street facility in Hull, home of the Hull Fair, capable of accommodating up to 350 vehicles. Hold on a second. What if the Hull Fair's on? just a guess. This site would also cause need full driver facilities, like sanitation, food and security, and would generate considerable HGV traffic through the western inner city. He went on to say also that with Phase 3, if we really need to, we've got the option to stack vehicles on the motorway, but in a different way than to Kent. This is planning for the worst situation, and there is no indication at the moment that we need to do it. But if we need to, we have plans in place. In practice, this would mean parking on the M62 initially from Junction 2 at Howden to the A63 at North Cave, and then spreading to the M62 at Junction 33 at Ferrybridge and Junction 35 where the M62 meets the M18. At the same meeting, Simon Bird, the Associated British Ports and Humber Ports Director, said that the plans all sounded really very good, but my fear is that when things clog up at whatever time of the day, plans go out the window, and we will need to be fleet-footed to be able to manage it. Unless you are a card-carrying police officer, you can't move traffic outside of the eastern port gates, and it will escalate quickly. If we get one glitch, it will back up pretty quickly. Remember, in another country, Switzerland, has a 20% error rate. So these are going to happen. It's just when it's going to happen. That's the big thing. So on top of the day-to-day hold-ups of the road of around 47,000 vehicles that use it daily, plus the next 5 years of roadworks that are just starting, it will soon add to the complete turmoil of customs checks and red tape. Benjamin Franklin famously said, "In this world, nothing is said to be certain except death and taxes." If he'd been around today, he might have added hold-ups on the A63 in Hull. So, if you're a commuter in and around Hull, good luck. Good luck, guys. Your journey to works are going to be fun for definitely the foreseeable future. So if you think you've got trouble getting to work now and you work in and around the area of Hull or you use those roads, you might need to start finding alternative routes to work that avoid those roads as much as possible. So that could mean your commute gets even longer. So hey, if that becomes a problem for you, remember this: you voted for it. So good on you.